Shalom. Today we're going to go back to the Gospel of John and look at something interesting. We did talk about this previously, that there are 7 miracles in the book of John, and they line up with the history of Israel. So the history of the nation begins with the coming out of Egypt. In other words, they went down as a family, but the nation began when they came out. Deuteronomy 6, 5, and 8. And you shall speak and say before Jehovah your God, a Syrian ready to perish was my father, and he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous. And Jehovah brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs, and with wonders. So we know what precedes the Exodus immediately are the plagues. And just looking at the first 2 miracles, the first miracle of Yeshua reverses the first plague, and the second miracle of Yeshua reverses the last plague. So let's look at that in order. Yeshua's first miracle was turning the water to wine in John 2. And we see the first plague in Exodus 7. And Jehovah said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go. Go unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goes out unto the water, and you shall stand by the river's brink to meet him. And the rod which was turned into a serpent shall you take in your hand. Then Moses is speaking to Pharaoh. He says, Thus says Jehovah, In this you shall know that I am Jehovah. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. Yeshua's second miracle, which is in John 4, is that he raised the nobleman's son from the dead. And the last plague was the slaying of the firstborn. Exodus 11. And Jehovah said unto Moses, Yet will I bring 1 plague more upon Pharaoh, and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sits upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall there be like it any more. So we have this sense of restoring all things bit by bit. Let's see about the third. Now the third is the healing at Bethesda. Remember, the man is sitting by the pool. He can't walk, and he's waiting for somebody to help him into the waters, which he believed will heal him. Historically, the next thing that's going to happen is that the Israelites are going to be walking around the wilderness. The thing that ties these two together, aside from the walking, is the specific amount of time. The man was sitting there for 38 years. When we think about the Israelites walking around the wilderness, we usually think of 40 years. But actually, we will see at the time that God punished them for the sin of the spies, they'd already been in the wilderness for 2 years, and so he added 38 years. So from Numbers 32, it begins to relate the story of what happened. And Moses said unto the children of Gad and to the children of Reuben, Shall your brethren go to war, and shall you sit here? And wherefore discourage the heart of the children of Israel from going over into the land which Jehovah has given them? So if you recall, they wanted to stay on the east side of the Jordan because there was good pasture land, and Moses is saying, if you stay here, everybody else is going to have to fight that war. And in the end, they agreed to come fight the war, and they do stay in that pasture land. But Moses reminds them, the tribes of Gad and Reuben, how the children of Israel were discouraged previously. Thus did your fathers when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land. For when they went up into the valley of Eshcol and saw the land, they discouraged the heart of the children of Israel, that they should not go into the land which Jehovah had given them. Remember, they went in, they said the land is beautiful, but there are giants, and the people became very discouraged, and so they didn't go in. And Jehovah's anger was kindled at the same time, and he swore, saying, None of the men that came up out of Egypt from 20 years old and upward shall see the land which I swore unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me. So this judgment came as a result of the spies giving a bad report. And the time frame for this is actually shown in Deuteronomy 2:14. And the space in which we came from Kadesh Barnea until we came over the brook Zered was 38 years, until all the generation of the men of war were wasted out from among the host, as Jehovah swore unto them. So that 38 years ties these two incidents together, the man waiting by the pool of Bethesda for 38 years, and the children of Israel waiting for 38 years before they could go into the land. The next miracle we see of Yeshua is in John 6, 1-14, and that is the feeding of the 5,000. And of course we know that the Lord fed the children of Israel manna in the desert. Deuteronomy 8:3. And he humbled you and suffered you to hunger and fed you with manna, which you did not know, neither did your fathers know, that he might make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Jehovah does man live. And when they came into the land in Joshua 5:12, and the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land, neither had the children of Israel manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. The next miracle is that Yeshua walks on the water. And this is parallel to the people actually coming into the land and crossing the Jordan. Joshua 3:14-16. And it came to pass, when the people were moved from their tents to pass over Jordan, and the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, and as they that bore the ark were come into the Jordan, and the feet of the priests that bore the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for Jordan overflows all its banks all the time of harvest. The waters which came down from above stood and rose up as a heap, very far from the city Adam, that is beside Zaratan, and those that came down toward the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, failed and were cut off, and the people passed over right against Jericho. Very interesting, since we're framing these miracles in terms of the restoration of things that have happened to the people of Israel, that the waters rolled all the way back to Adam. The sixth miracle is that Yeshua heals the man who was born blind. Now we know that the people of Israel are blind in a certain sense, as it says in Romans 11:25. For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel, until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And also in Ephesians 4:17-18, it says, This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you henceforth do not walk as other Gentiles walk. Paul is speaking to those who have come to faith, in the vanity of their mind, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of the heart. So those who are unsaved are also blind. And I think we can look forward to the fulfillment of that blindness being lifted in Zechariah 12:10. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourns for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. And this is somewhat beginning to happen. There's a greater influx of Jews coming to faith in Yeshua in these days, perhaps almost as great as when he walked the earth. And it is prophesied that Messiah is the one who will heal the ones who are blind. Isaiah 29:18. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. Isaiah 42:16. And I will bring the blind by a way that they did not know, and I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. Jeremiah 31:8. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travails with child together. A great company shall return thither. So many people have returned to the land to reestablish the land, but there are still many more to come, and there are still many who are blind, but that blindness will be lifted and healed by Messiah. Finally, the last miracle that Yeshua does is he raises Lazarus from the dead. Very specifically, it says that the dead will be raised in the last day, and we might be close to the last day, but we're not there yet. John 6:39. And this is the Father's will which he has sent me, that of all which he has given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. There are some hints in the Old Testament of resurrection. Job 19:25 and 26. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh I shall see God. Isaiah 19:25 and 26. Your dead men shall live, together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, you that dwell in the dust, for your dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, enter into your chambers, and shut your doors about you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. Psalm 16:9 and 10. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoices. My flesh also shall rest in hope, for you will not leave my soul in hell, neither will you suffer your Holy One to see corruption. That word Holy One there is the same word which is translated saint in other places. We see when David's child dies, he says, while the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, who can tell whether Jehovah will be gracious to me, that the child may live? But now he is dead, wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I will go to him, but he shall not return to me. So there is some question even about whether there is an afterlife, and this is an indication that the Torah does tell you there is an afterlife. Daniel 12:2-3. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Also Hosea 6:1 and 2. Come, and let us return to Jehovah, for he has torn, and he will heal us. He has smitten, and he will bind us up. After 2 days he will revive us, and in the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Perhaps the greatest testimony for the Israelites in terms of a resurrection is in Ezekiel 37. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus says the Lord Jehovah, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves, and cause you to come up out of your graves, and bring you into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Jehovah, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves. And say unto them, Thus says the Lord Jehovah, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them. And they shall no more be two nations, neither shall be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt. And they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children forever. And my servant David shall be their prince forever. So remember through their history that they were divided into two people groups, a northern kingdom, the Sumerian kingdom, or the Ephraim kingdom, and the southern kingdom, the Judean kingdom. And so here it says, at the time of this resurrection of the dead, they will be united again as one people group. One more thing concerning the raising of Lazarus, and that is, if you remember, Lazarus was in the tomb for 4 days. Now, Lazarus is, in Hebrew, would be Eliezer, which is a name which means God has helped, or God is my help, and he was the servant of Abraham. If you start from the very beginning and start counting the years and the generations, you will find that Abraham, who is the father of the family that went down into Egypt, the real beginning of the people, he was born in 1948 AM, which means Anno Mundi, of the world, from creation. 1,948 years after creation, as it is listed in the Tanakh, in the Bible, Abraham was born, 1948. And there's another video, and I'll put a link to that concerning that. When he was 75, he was called out of Haran. If we add those together, that means in 2023, after the creation of the world, Abraham was called out and began his mission as God had described it to him. 2023 AM Anno Mundi is equal to 1981 BCE. If we add that to the current year, all the years before Yeshua was born, 1,981 years, to the years since he was born, 2,025 years, that adds up together to 4,006 years. We are just about 4 days since the beginning of Abraham's mission to establish a people for God. And Lazarus was in the grave for 4 days. I pray this has been useful for your studies. Till next time, Tasimat ha'inayim al hashamayim. Keep your eyes on the sky. Your redemption draweth nigh. Shalom.